Hello guys, this is Manipulation, and I'm going to be doing a short guide on how to analyze your replays more effectively. In this game, Lucid was teaching me a PvZ build because I've been struggling in PvZ recently. And I'm going to do a video of this now while I was trying to learn the build, and then post a second video in a little while of how the build looked once I had it down. So, in the beginning, I do this part right, and I just get the basic stuff down at the right times, which is very important because in this build you want the 13 gateway and then your gas at 14, so I got that. And then you put three probes into the gas immediately, and then at 16 you put your second pylon in your base. None of these pylons go down on the low ground at all, and then as soon as your gateway finishes, you start a cyber core, and you start up a zealot, but if you don't see any zerglings, you cancel it. So with this, I scout my natural area with the probe, and I don't see any lings, so I cancel the zealot, and then I put down the nexus. And from here, what I want to do is I want to get the wall up at the natural and get the mothership core out as soon as possible. Now, this is my first mistake in the build. As you can see, I've got 23 out of 34 supply. But I put down another pylon up here, which is where I want to hide my gateways for later. But I don't need it, and it's going to slow down the whole build altogether. So, one thing to note is, like I said, once this pylon finishes up, I have 24 of 42 supply, and now I don't have my forge, and I could have the other gateway down already. That being said, that's 100 minerals that I've wasted in a timing-oriented build. The gateway is just now coming down when it could have came down at about the same time as the forge. Another important thing to note is that I've forgotten the zealot, that it goes in the wall. So if he were to send lings at me right now, I would have nothing to stop it other than the mothership core. And I remember going through this replay and he was just telling me, where's your zealot? And also, where's your +1? Because with the attack I'm supposed to have +1 weapons upgrade. We'll keep an eye on that. So I'm looking, and the ideal goal here is to have 16 probes on both Nexus before I move out. And then I want to get a Warp Prism, 2 Immortals for the attack. And as you can see, I still have not started +1 attack up weapons upgrades yet. And he's got an Overlord in the area where I want to hide my gateways. So right now I have 2 gateways and 2 more on the way, so I would have 4. But I don't have a cannon, I don't have my zealot still, and now he's got 2 lings in my base to scout everything, and I have to use a photon overcharge because really I just don't want it to come see any more of my gateways, but I also don't know about this Overlord back here. So after cleaning that up, I finally warp in a zealot, and then I don't ever put it on hold command, which is a huge mistake. If you were to ever send lings up, it would just A-move, and then I would be boned. And I've also momentarily stopped probe production, which is a mistake. I don't have enough probes. And now I'm getting close to a supply block, and I have no pylons on the way. Also note, I still do not have my upgrade on the way. That being said, I finally wall this off because my second Immortal is about to be done. With this, ideally you want, as soon as your second Immortal finishes up, load it up in the Warp Prism, send everything across the map. And as you can see, I just now started my +1 as the attack is moving out. It should have already been done, but instead I'm just now starting it. And as well, I also only have 5 gateways. I could have many more. So I warp in, and then I start my attack. And with this build, I'm making a huge mistake. I'm attacking into the third instead of into the natural, which is where he would be pooling all of his units. If I were to attack into the natural instead, I could fight off all of the units as they come from the main, the third, and the natural, instead of having to fight them all at once. I get a decent fight here, but even with that, it's not as good as it could have been. So I've got him pushed off of his third, but at the same time, I'm supply blocked. Now, I have 1,200 minerals, and I still only have 5 gateways. Imagine if I had 2 more already done. And I was chronoing out my warp gates, making sure that they're all good to go. I could have 12 more zealots with this army. Having those 12 more zealots would easily make this more attainable. So I send this back, and my goal here, in my mind right now, the biggest thing is sniping the third. So I leave those zealots over there to take out the third, and I move over to his natural. But by now he's already got so many roaches that I don't have enough yet. I warp in some stalkers, and here come his lings, but those will not be enough. And then I make a big mistake there in losing the immortal by having the warp prism back there. Losing one immortal is okay. You really do not want to do that though, if at all possible. And at this point I've already lost. He's already defended my attack, and I have to go back. I picked off his third, but in the end I'm only working off 1 gas. And he's got a ton of roaches. There's not a whole lot from this position that I can do too well. I'm also floating 2,000 minerals, which in this attack could have been gateways and more zealots, which would have helped push this game in my favor. So from here, all he has to do is macro properly, and there should be no way for him to lose to me. As you can see, he comes across the map right now, and apparently he moves back. But just going through this, now I'm thinking, okay, well I have to transition, so I take all 4 of my other 3 gases. And so I'm just panicking at this point, because I'm at like 60 supply, and I don't know what to make. So I just start putting stuff down and warping units in as much as I can, and I just try and YOLO a third, I'm pretty sure. And here I lose a lot of my zealots for free, which is a huge mistake, but just looking at this army, I know I can't fight, so I move back to my cannons and my photon overcharge. This is really just a stall tactic. I know at this point I'm pretty much dead, unless I can get a ton of immortals and sentries out. So from here, I throw down the time warps, and just not quite enough. If I had that third immortal, maybe, since I didn't. I got lucky here. This was probably about as good a fight as I could have gotten. And I do kill off a lot of the roaches, but behind this, his economy is just so much better than mine. Taking this fight is just too much for me. And now I've got an unpowered forge, which is upgrading shields for some reason. Which is also probably a mistake. So the biggest mistakes in this game to this point were forgetting the +1 attack and putting down that early pylon, which slowed down my build even more. From here, I kind of just have to sit around and wait to die unless he makes a huge mistake. But I don't think that's going to be the case, so I just go for a third, because I know if I sit back on the economy that I have, I know he's probably got 3 or 4 bases, which is another mistake by me. If we look at my vision here, I haven't scouted. I have these sentries. I could have hallucinated a phoenix and sent it out to go scout to see if he's got a third or a fourth. And now my army is becoming somewhat reasonable. I've got a good number of sentries, 2 immortals. I could make more immortals, which would probably be best in this situation, but I'm kind of broke. So I'm doing what I can with this. Fast forward a little more. And I've got my third established now, and I'm going to start putting probes on it right now. And really, I'm just kind of unsure what to do, because I knew I couldn't really attack across the map. And as you can see, he's maxed out now, and I'm at 140 supply. And he's got this huge army up here waiting for me, and I had no idea what to do at this point. So I just kind of sat down here in case he tried to attack into my natural, which this is honestly the worst place to sit because you can get surrounded so easily. I got kind of nervous because I figured I was just going to die, so I was like, alright, I'm just going to attack across the map and hope for the best. But as I do this, he attacks into my third, and then he attacks into my natural. So my biggest thought here is just, well, I'm going to all in and hope I can win from here. But he has enough here to kind of slow me down, and he's just going to bring his whole army back. So right here, I had a chance to win. Like, straight up, I had a chance. But I wasn't paying attention. I don't remember what I was doing. And I let this whole army get surrounded. No force fields got dropped. And it's just like full definition potato toss. Lost all of my army. And, like, that's just unexcusable. And if you go back into a replay and you see that you're doing something like that, you know that's just a mistake that happens from time to time. From there, there's really not a chance in the world anymore. Like, I had a chance with that little attack. All I had to do was force field off the ramp, section off the units repeatedly as they were trying to come up, and I was going to be golden. So from here, I send in DTs because I'm like, why not? And then he's got overseers because he's not the worst player in the world. And here I'm just praying that somehow I can do something, and he just says nope. Dances on me. Kills my stuff. Makes me feel bad. And then eventually I'm just like, alright, I've had enough. GG. So, looking at that game, in retrospect, I had chances to win that I shouldn't have had. And I threw the game when I probably could have won it. So if you go back and look through, try and find out what your bigger problems are. If you're getting supply blocked a lot, make sure you're putting down pylons, supply depots. Make sure you pump out an overlord or two every other cycle of productions, depending on what you're making. If you're floating a ton of minerals, put down some more gateways, pylons, a couple cannons if you need to protect stuff. And that's all I've got for now. See you next time.